Hey guys, I just stopped to make this small video, and in this one I got my babies, all of them. Okay, my camera is acting up. So I just wanted to tell you quickly, I'm on my way to my family's olive farm. This is another inspiration that I got to let out my dog, but under control, and a bit more down closer to the olive farm. So this is a nice forest area. Everything is in the forest around here. Okay, I'm always in the forest. I wanted to tell you that the transformational triangle, this video is called the transformational triangle. It's an equilateral triangle. It's not a scalene or an isosceles triangle. All parts must be equal. All congruent angles must be equal. Okay? And that is what is called an equilateral triangle. This is basic geometry 101. So, how does it work? It works when we are living in the fallen state. So maybe you fell from grace somehow in life, or maybe you're just a person trying to do your best, but you don't know that you are living in a fallen state, because everyone in the human race has inherit living in the fallen state spiritually. Okay, it is the fall of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, which unfairly, I should say, we have inherited unfairly, and we are living in this fallen state, and a lot of us are ignorant to this. So when we are in the fallen state, we are a public failure. Okay, you're living as a public failure because you are not living in your highest version of yourself, which God has created and designed and fashioned us to be, and predestined us to live and to walk in and to walk out and live out from the beginning of the foundation, or before the beginning of the foundation of the world. Okay, so that's the first stage. The second stage is that's public failure, sinful living, falling from grace, whatever. Everything is in this first angle of the equilateral triangle, of the transformational equilateral triangle. That is the first state, and you want to move from there. And the way you move from there is just like what you're seeing. Private. Only because I'm making a video, you know I'm here. You know my moment. Because I'm in a private redemptive state. This is where Christ has redeemed my life, restored my life, and is transforming my life, both personally and professionally. So you went from public, lesser version of yourself, fallen state. Now you're in the private redemptive or redemption mode. And this is where God uses the wilderness experience, like he did for the children of Israel when they were moving from the fallen state of slavery and living in Egypt under hundreds of years of oppression and slavery, through their deliverer Moses, through the wilderness, onto the promised land. This is how this works. Let me let out these two. Okay? And this one will stay here. Stay here, Patrick, stay here. Stay with me, okay? I don't want you to get lost, okay? So I had 6 dogs, and we sent another 2 for adoption, and we got another 4 here. 2 are permanent and 2 are passing through. This is one of the 2 that is passing through, okay? And so I have been doing a lot of projects, and I've had a lot of experiences in my personal and professional transformational growth process here in Italy for the last 11 going on 12 years. No one has seen this, no one knows about this unless they track me down and they're trolling me and they're watching my projects online that I'm creating and building. Okay, I'm becoming the better version of myself. Now in this state, okay, you will last here as long as you don't meet the requirements of God. This is called the wilderness period. The redemptive state is called, or the state of redemption, in the equilateral reconstruction transformational triangle of your life. It is in this level and stage and phase that you must be developed according to how God has predestined and intention for you to live out your life here in the world to glorify him. The children of Israel couldn't move through the promised land and get to the land of Canaan, which was the land of Goshen and land of ultimate freedom and abundance, unless they had passed through this wilderness period the way God wanted. That is why God had to, they were in a rebellious and stiff-necked mode, and that is why they took 40 years to enter their new state, which is the restoration state and the final angle of the equilateral triangle. You will never move from the redemptive state to the restoration state unless you meet the requirements that God specifically wants for you to be and to become in your redemptive process. So while Jesus Christ died on the cross and made this redemptive process a one snap of a finger thing by you just confessing with your mouth and believing in your heart, that is known as deliverance. That is delivering us from the fallen state. Now we're in the redemptive state, but we must be free. You see, God will deliver you from Egypt, but God won't free your mind. And if you don't believe this, you've got to free your own mind. This is the reason why the children of Israel took a 11-day journey and turned it into a 40-year journey going around a mountain known as Mount Horeb before crossing their wilderness experience into their promised land, Canaan. It is because the old mindset was still in that generation. 40 years is a generation, so God waited for those people to die out. And the ones that were born in the wilderness during the restoration, during the redemptive process of the transformational equilateral triangle that I'm telling you about, those were the ones that went with Joshua and possessed the promised land. Okay? So they had a new mindset. They were not delivered from Egypt. When God deliver you from your Egypt, your bondage, okay, that's what it is, and you are experiencing the redemptive state and redemption in the wilderness, you must free yourself here. God will deliver you, but He won't free you. You have to come to a level of mindset, okay, of working and collaborating and accepting God intention for your life by studying His word and knowing what, praying, fasting, submitting yourselves daily, dying to yourself in order to know what He personally has tailored and designed for you as part of your divine journey here in this world. So what happened, once you arrive at this, then you have just become free. So you're not only delivered by God, but now you're free because you have freed. You have transformed your mind. Romans chapter 12 verse 1 and 2. By the renewing of your mind, you have transformed your mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You have to renew your mind. That's your responsibility. That's my responsibility. So God will always deliver you from bondage into an interim phase, which is the wilderness phase, which is the redemptive phase. And it is in that phase that you must free your mind. Okay? God won't free your mind. See, He didn't free the mind of the Egyptians. Of the Israelites that came out of Egypt, living and accustomed to the ways of the Egyptians. God wanted to transition them through the wilderness with Moses to their promised land, but they were unable to do it because though they were delivered from Egypt, okay, Egypt was not delivered from them. They could not release from the mindset, the life and lifestyle of the past. Even though they knew that it was dangerous and harmful, they still clave onto it. So God couldn't work with them. God said, this is a stiff-necked and hard-hearted generation. So snake bit them in the wilderness. They died in the wilderness. They complained in the wilderness. They rebelled against Moses, their leader, etc. And they went around Mount Horeb for 40 years in the wilderness. And the Canaan was just some days away. They couldn't make it. So 40 years is a generation. They died in that wilderness phase. You and I will die in the redemptive wilderness phase of the transformational triangle. I won't be able to complete our total transformation if you don't release from the old mindset. You don't make Romans chapter 12 verses 1 and 2 a reality in your life. Go and look it up and read it. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It is our responsibility. So I'm in my wilderness phase for 11 years. Okay, going on 12. So I'm developing projects, creating things, becoming the best version of myself, living out a new life, creating and forming a family, forming digital businesses, and following God and trusting and believing in God and hoping for God to complete my journey and transition me from my physical wilderness phase into now my public restoration phase. The triangles angles are like this, okay? Public failure, private restoration or redemption, private redemption, and public restoration. These are the three phases of the triangle. Private failure, false version, lowest version of yourself. Public failure, false version, less version of yourself. Private redemption, wilderness phase, okay? And then once you pull through by collaborating and submitting to God and obeying God and freeing your mind because you were already delivered by Him, now He wants you to come through, but you got some responsibility in collaborating with Him through obedience. To obey is better than sacrifice. So you're not going to sacrifice to please God. You're going to obey to please God. When God is happy and pleased with this phase of your wilderness period, which is the private redemptive phase and a redemption phase, then you will be spitted out to the completion of that transformational, that equilateral transformational triangle, and you will now be publicly restored. You will be promoted. You will be placed. You will be instated or reinstated. Okay, this is how God completes His work in us. Thank you for watching. I've got to go to the farm with my dogs. I got some work to do. This is the third time I'm doing this video. The devil stole the first two. Okay, so this one, I won't lose it. I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, and I will see you along with my friend in another personal, transformational, and Christian faith-based lifestyle video very soon. Thank you and bye.